Beautiful and lovely gamers, my name is Jonal. Welcome to this episode of Mailbox Monday. This is where I cover your topics, your questions, your ideas, and try to all answer them in orderly fashion. If you want to submit your own question, you can do it in the comment section here on YouTube, or you can join our Discord server, which is the normal where I check the most of the questions. Down there is a chat called Mailbox Monday. You should join either way. It's an amazing gaming community. But join there, post your questions, and I will try to answer them as best as I can. The top comment of the day, of course, comes from Hansuro, and he has thoughts on the blizchung Blizzard drama, and do you think that it will have repercussions in the grand scheme of things? So, for those who don't know, a Hearthstone player essentially said free Hong Kong after winning a tournament, and Blizzard banned him, stating that one of their rules said that you are not allowed to do political, that you're not allowed to do any political statements or anything like that. You're supposed to keep the tournaments and the post-game interviews to only talking about the game, and this was a political statement which could affect your global fan base and so on, because they, according to Blizzard, they value everybody's criticism and everybody's voice. Think globally and speak freely is one of their mottos, and therefore they say, well, okay, you said, you know, free Hong Kong, we have a bunch of people in China, they don't like that statement, right? It's a political, you know, it's a political argument, you know, okay, what is right, what's wrong, okay, it doesn't matter, they have their opinion, you have your opinion, and therefore he got banned for a year, lost his entire prize pool, and they also fired the casters that was casting the match because they failed to, quote-unquote, keep the tournament focus on just the tournament and not on anything else. Now, here's where stuff gets tricky. First of all, the argument that is made that think globally, okay, so you're not allowed to say anything that, you know, offends or anything that can have a different opinion, right? Because you're supposed to be able to, everybody is supposed to be able to speak freely, and so on. It's one of their mottos and what they want, but at the same time, you can't do anything like that can offend, that's not focused on the tournament. Well, okay, there's a lot of people that has a huge huge negativities, and there's like countries that does stream OWL or Watch League that has laws against being homosexual and doesn't agree with transgender people and so on, but Overwatch waves that as a banner, which I of course think is great. But if the argument is that globally this is an issue, okay, but in Russia, for example, okay, that's not always accepted in the same way as it is, for example, in the US. And at that point, you gotta ask yourself, you know, okay, by that law, you guys are making the stream political by saying, you know, okay, yeah, this and this and this, and you can say, well, that's just a fact that everybody should be allowed to, and so on. But at the same time, I will argue that, you know, the censorship and the way that China rules is not okay, in my opinion. And therefore, I side with Hong Kong in this matter. And I would say that's just a fact, that's a logical fact. But of course, some people, especially people from China, not all of them, of course, but a chunk of the people from China, doesn't agree with this. And then you gotta say, right, then, oh, it's a difference of opinion, right? Because it is a everybody's voice matter logic. And that's the issue. So, I think that what Blizzard do, and this is why I think that Blizzard is abusing the rules, is that they are picking what they like. For example, if I had said, you know, if I had played a tournament in Hearthstone, I had, you know, said something that was very pro, again, using just sex, you know, pro transgender or pro the LGBTQ community or anything like that. If I had said anything like that, like, yeah, for gay marriage or anything like that, would I have been punished the same way? No, most likely not. Right? If I have said anything, you know, for example, if I had said fuck North Korea, right, or something like that during a stream, do you think I would get punished in the same way? No, most likely not. Does it have something to do with the fact that China has to a certain extent of money grabs due to Tencent over Blizzard? Yes. So how do I think this will affect it in the long term? I think that it will do like it always does. I don't think people, like right now there's a lot of boycotting talk and so on. I always feel like every time there is those talks that it doesn't really lead to anything long term. But what I do know will happen, and I remember this, when EA really started becoming more and more greedy with their microtransaction, people started speaking up and said, this is normally a really great company, we love this company, here's a controversy, and people were, you know, mad and blah blah blah, and then it kind of went down, but people never forgot. And then one after another, and another, and another, and now EA is one of the most hated gaming companies. Like the games that they make is high quality, but they are so hated due to microtransactions by a lot of people, a lot of YouTubers. There's a lot of negative conversation with EA games and microtransactions, because it was a long-term thing. And I think that's the exact same thing that will happen with Blizzard if they continue doing this, that from now on, a lot of gamers will remember that this happened. And if this happens more and more and more, people will get more and more fed up with it. But right now, I think that it will be an outrage, and there is an outrage and an anger, and people won't forget. But I don't think, like, in the end, that it really will hurt the bottom line for Blizzard economically, especially if this, in comparisons that they were still allowed to do business in China. If they were cut off the ties in China compared to the outrage and the people that actually would boycott everything from Blizzard from now on, I don't think in the end economically would make a difference, but I still believe that this will add a negative connotation, a negative mark on Blizzard and Activision's name, which will be remembered by a lot of people. So that's the first question. I would of course like to hear your opinion about that topic down below, as I'm very, very intrigued about what other people feel about it. Now, Lacey's ask, why is climbing so much easier now compared to before roll queue? And I think that's quite easy. And some people struggle in roll queue, and some people does not struggle in roll queue. For example, I don't struggle, as I like roll queue more than I like just everybody could pick whatever they want. For me, that made everything how can I say it? It made everything for me much easier because of game sense, because I can easier, you know, put in whatever game sense I have. I think it's an individual thing. Some people like the structure and the consistency that, okay, I will have 2 supports, I will have a certain amount of healing, even though it's weird support picks. I will have 2 tanks, so I will to instance have a front line. And if you then know how to play around that game sense, then that's really cool. But at the same time, some people are really struggling with it just because they're used to being able to abuse the fact that there are not really a front line. There are not really maybe proper or really good support players there, right? And the SR, if you know, if the tank player or whatever, are very easily abused. So some people I know is struggling with this just because they're so used to it. That's something that I cover a lot in my private coaching. People that really want to climb now at roll queue and taking their skills that they know that they have and implement it in game, and people that are coming from you know, being really good outside roll queue, and then roll queue came and cucked them because they don't are able to adapt to the play style and being as effective as it used to be. That's 2 things that I cover a lot right now in my private coach. And of course, if you want to hire me as a private coach, it's €50 for a 2-hour session. Doesn't matter if you're bronze or stuff 500. I know I'm missing plugs, but hit me up on our Discord server if you're interested in stuff like that. And of course, just because while I'm mid plugging, like on the video, of course, help against the abusive YouTube algorithm. Same with the comments on any topic. Again, engaging with the channel just helps YouTube like my videos more. So please make YouTube love me and support the channel. Of course, subscribing and all that stuff is also really great. Now, Hansura again asks, Day77 asking Jonal if he thinks Moira should get a rework, and if so, how would it change her? I don't think that Moira needs a rework. She has her spot in the meta, and I don't like the hitbox, and I agree with a lot of people, but I don't really think that she needs a rework. I think that she's fitting in the spot where she's needed right now, and I think that most support and the support balance, there's a lot of reason to play everything. The only hero that we see very little of right now is Sen, which can very quickly change if the meta changes more towards dive or a more fast-paced engaging style. Then okay, we might see more Sen play. So right now, I think that actually the support lineup is pretty decent advanced. I don't really think Moira right now needs anything change. Maybe a little bit more again on her biotic grass, you know, damage and so on, which can sometimes be a little bit irritating, just because it's so low skill and just heals and just does everything. It just feels weird. And I think that you could, you know, nerf that, but I think that the playstyle fits a very specific playstyle that is very, very nice to have because it allows for these more clunked up plays. That is a way of playing the game and does fit in a lot of situations. Now, Spooky asks, do you think console and PC should get different balancing? Like, for example, a different hero gets different buffs and nerfs and whatnot. No, I do not think so. I think that the community should play on the exact same patch. The same with the Pro League as well, and we want to play in the same patch as the Pros does. And so just to make everyone and make the community more whole, I think that PC and console play, the only difference is that it's easier to aim on PC. So there are certain stuff that will be balanced and so on and unbalanced, but I don't think that's an issue on console. Like, again, yeah, sure, there's certain heroes that are better and or worse on that, just because you can't flick as easy as you can on mouse and keyboard, and so there's just some stuff you can do. But you can still do a lot as a console player, and game sense wise and skill wise. You know, I see people coming from Grandmaster in console over to here and quickly hit GM again because I private coached with them. Like, I had people that, okay, I was GM on console, I want to make sure I hit GM on PC, and I've gone over and run over some stuff with them, and as soon as I start getting comfortable with the mouse and keyboard, they quickly hit GM once more. So for me, I don't think that there's that much difference between a console player and a PC player, outside of just the difficulties that the PC, the mouse and keyboard, just have more accuracy generally, and it's easier to use, and therefore it's not as difficult as a console or a controller. But that's all for this week's episode. Thank you guys for tuning in. As always, the support, the love, everything on the videos. I made a video talking about breaking down the Vancouver Titans versus the San Francisco Sharks. So I will link down in the description since it probably doesn't get as much views. So if you want to see high tier grand final Overwatch League plays, me breaking that down, I'll link that down in the description below. Of course, again, a like on the video and subscribe if you want to hire me as a private coach. Hit me up on Discord server. Again, it's €50 for a 2-hour session. Now, submit your questions, your comments, everything. I would love to hear what you guys think about the stories today. And as always, guys, please take care of yourself. I hope you guys have a lovely Monday. As always, guys, stay positive. I love you guys very much. As always, my name's been Jonal, and you guys keep the enemy in your crosshair.